Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and welcome all of you back to the official 16th character in this long-running series of Sniping is Fun, Smash Brothers 5, Smash Brothers Switch, Newcomer Predictions and Speculation. This time, I didn't mention who it was, but now when you see this video, when it gets changed the thumbnail-wise, and obviously the name of the video and whatnot, you know who the character is now, but when I did my last character, when I ended it off, with Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Last time I did say I was not going to mention who the next character was. You were going to find out when the video came out. But the 16th character is Sylux from the Metroid series. And just like I always do with this series, I talk about 3 different categories. 1, why do they make sense for Smash Brothers? 2, moveset potential, moveset idea type stuff. And 3, percentage chance I could see them becoming a newcomer in Smash Bros. 5. Well, let's first start off with the first category on why do I think Sylux makes sense to be included in Smash Brothers at all. Now, I mentioned this with Ridley though. It's like everyone wants, and at least I allude to it basically, everyone wants another newcomer from Metroid. It's been such a long time. We've never had a new character. Zero Suit Samus is not a new character, and I do believe Metroid at some point does deserve at least one other character than just Samus. 2 versions of Samus, in fact, really. So it's basically, why does it make sense in general for Metroid to get another character? Because I think it's important enough to at least deserve one more. But that's Metroid in general. That's not specifically talking about Sylux. That's talking about any potential newcomer. I mentioned that, I believe, in the Ridley video, or at least alluded to it. But that doesn't have anything to do with this video. I just want to basically mention it. But a lot of people have wanted for years for the various Smash Bros. Games to see Samus with someone else from the Metroid series. They've wanted to see another Metroid character, and I can see why. It is a fairly beloved series from Nintendo. It is a classic series that's been around just as long as Kid Icarus and Zelda and whatnot. So I can see why people want at least one more character on it, why they think it deserves at least one more character. But specifically, let's talk about Sylux in this video. And why do I think Sylux makes sense to actually be a character for Smash Bros. 5, at least to some extent. He is kind of important to the Prime series. I know he's never actually made a main appearance in the major series. His only game appearance so far has been in Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS, and that was at a launch title back around 2004, 2005, 2006 range, like, you know, in that range, like early DS. So it's been a long while since he really has had a game. That's his only main appearance, but he's apparently important to the series, and I say this as not really being a big Metroid fan because I haven't really played too many of the games, but he was at least alluded to at the end of Metroid Prime 3 and at the end of Metroid Prime Federation Force, which is a recent 3DS game. So if he's being alluded to, talked about, and referenced, I do think he's at least semi-important to at least the Prime series in Metroid. Not the rest of the Prime, like the rest of the Metroid series in general, like Super, the original, Return of Samus, Other M, and whatnot. But in terms of the Prime series inside the Metroid series, apparently he must be important, and they must be planning to use him if they're basically referencing him and whatnot in endings and whatnot for Prime 3 and Federation Force. So there you go. At least basically he's important to the Prime series, and that's basically what seems to be the major series from Metroid lately. So if he's important to that, he's technically kind of important to Metroid itself, even though he's only really had 1 game appearance so far. And on top of that, why he's referenced, I've been hearing rumors that he's actually rumored for Metroid Prime 4. He's going to be probably a major villain in Metroid Prime 4. So if he's being alluded to and referenced and pretty much rumored to, you know, in these other games, he will probably come back for Metroid Prime 4. And if Sakurai wants to pull a character from the game and wants to kind of advertise Metroid Prime 4, it might be good to add him in early, so it's like, oh no, Sylux might be one of the major villains in Metroid Prime 4. Maybe, you know, I can include him and give a villain character to Metroid, another newcomer to Metroid, and it's a character that at least the creators of Metroid probably plan on using. So there you go. And he seems to be a major villain for Samus outside of Ridley. Ridley is the long-standing, iconic, major villain of Samus, and no one's ever going to take that away from her. You know, from him for her. Outside of maybe Mother Brain, even Mother Brain probably plays second fiddle to being a major villain to Samus because Ridley killed her parents and blah blah blah, Other M and blah blah blah, Returning from the Dead, blah blah blah. You know, there's big history between Ridley and Samus. But if they don't pick Ridley, he's like the second in line almost as a major villain. It seems like he has become a major antagonist for Samus as well. For the Federation Force, he's like very anti-Federation Force. He hates them. He hates Samus. He takes their technology. He's very antagonistic, and it seems like they're building up maybe a backstory for him for why he hates that. Because, like I said, I'm not a big major Metroid fan. I've only played a little of the series, so I really don't know too much about Sylux himself, except for little tidbits I've heard online here and there. But like, I think they're going to dive more into his backstory if they do intend to bring him back for Metroid Prime 4. So you can go into some character development for him, and he seems to be a major antagonist for Samus in the Federation Force. So it's like, if you can't include Ridley because size, you can include like almost the next best thing, because obviously you can't include Mother Brain. How is she gonna fight? That's a boss battle assist trophy right there. Sylux is probably almost the next best choice, especially if they plan on making him more relevant as an antagonist for Samus by bringing him back from Metroid Prime 4. So it's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts for his character, but if those ifs, ands, or buts actually come to fruition, I think that helps his chances on being a potential newcomer for Smash Brothers. Now, that's the reasons why I feel it makes sense to be in. Moveset potential. I did have to look up this one because I never played Prime Hunters, and that's like his only game he's in so far. So I don't know too much about his character, except that he's very aggressive, he's very antagonistic, he's very like just wanting to get into the fight and kill some people, especially the Federation Force. So make his moveset super, super aggressive space armor man that just, he has violent attacks. I say his smash attacks should just be very aggressive, very violent punches, kicks, and shoulder tackles, running into people, just knocking people to the ground type stuff, because apparently that's kind of like what his personality is. So take what Samus does, except make him do it more aggressively and more, because she does punches and kicks too, technically. Like, they made her do that, even though in the actual games you technically, in some of them, can't really do stuff like that. But in Smash Bros., you kind of have to give people some melee-based attacks in order to really kind of make them work. So make him just run people over, shoulder tackle people to the ground, super hard punches, super hard kicks, stuff like that. Very aggressively, he's like, and he's like screaming, and just like knocks someone to the ground type stuff. That would be kind of cool, because you've never seen a villain so far in Smash Bros. That's really that aggressive and wanting to kill their opponent. Special attacks, I do know that he has like arm cannon type stuff, just like Samus does. So in essence of not making him a clone, I do believe his attacks are basically more electric based, and I've also heard partially ice based too. So make his beams very electric based and very, ice. I'd say various gun blaster, arm cannon type attacks that are electric and ice based. It's very simplistic. I know I've went more in detail on various other characters, like a Fire Emblem 16 character, or Paper Mario, or Bomberman, and stuff like that. I went more into detail on them, but I actually know those characters, or can predict a Fire Emblem character one. I really don't know too much about Sylux, and I really had to look stuff up for him in order to even really know how he would even remotely fight. But I do know he does do arm cannon type stuff, so it'd be similar to Samus, how she could use her beam cannon, except it's more electric based. I heard also there's some ice based attacks too, so maybe give him like ice based, electric based blaster rifle attacks, like arm cannon type stuff, and it could maybe freeze opponents or electrify them and stun them a little bit, stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe make them chargeable too, obviously, because Samus can charge hers, he could charge his as well. So that's really about it for him. And the final smash is the Delano 7. He has his own ship that he stole from the Federation Force, and basically you can make it either controllable, like how Samus's thing is in Smash Bros. 4, or you can make it like its own cutscene where he just comes down and drops missiles and fires on the stage, sets the stage on fire with multiple explosions, and just anyone caught in fire will get massively damaged. That's the only thing I can think about him, because one of the major things about him, besides obviously his technology coming from the Federation Force, doing electric base attacks, is that he has this ship called Delano 7, so why not just make that his final smash and have him just fire repeatedly hell missiles to the stage and destroy people, whether you can control it or not. Now we get on to the third category, and the percentage chance I could see him getting in. And I know, and this is just like Ridley. This is exactly like Ridley. I hype the character up so much, just like Waluigi even. I hype the character up so much that it's like, okay, maybe he's going to give him a high percentage. He sees him as a good character chance. I really don't, actually. I see a lot of people asking for him, and I can see where they're coming from. Does seem to be, he's going to probably be more of a major character in the Metroid Prime series going forward. But that's an if. That is not a guarantee. And right now, I am giving him a 65% chance. Maybe even a 60%. So 60 to 65. I broke down 65. So for this video, for a legit reason, for a legit percentage, I'm giving him a 65%. But I might lower it to a 60 even as well, which is lower than Ridley and whatnot. because Ridley is iconic. Ridley is a major character in the Metroid Prime series that's been around since day one. The only thing I gave Ridley like a 70%, I believe it's 70%. I wrote it down. Ridley, where are you, Ridley? 70. I gave him a 70%, which is higher even than Sylux. Where he's losing that 30% Ridley does is the size, and that does hurt him, people. I know people are going to complain. They might downvote my video. They might complain. But size does hurt Ridley because you can only downsize him so much. What's hurting Sylux is he's such a cool character. He has like this cool premise and this cool backstory we know Jack all about and everything. It just seems like a cool character, very major villain character you can get with Samus. But he plays like no role in the series like whatsoever. He has been in one game, Metroid Prime Hunters, and that came out around like 2006 around the DS. We've had the 3DS, the Wii U, we're on the Switch now. We've had numerous games since then. That's like 12 years ago. He's been, and all he's had since then is like an alluded appearance to a reference at the end of Metroid Prime 3 and Metroid Prime Federation Force, and he's rumored for Metroid Prime 4. And it all rides on that, but that's all rumors. That's all ifs. There's no concrete, guaranteed proof he's going to be in Metroid Prime 4. And if he's not in that, I think his chances, that's what hurt his chances. I gave him like a 65%. He loses 40% because he's not all that relevant. And at 60%, even I gave him, which could even be probably 65%, it could even be lower than that, is all riding on the fact that his cool personality, cool character seems to be important to the series, and the possibility of him being in Metroid Prime 4. If he's not in Metroid Prime 4, I can almost guarantee he's not even going to be highly considered at all. If he is to be in Metroid Prime 4, Sakurai might be talking to the developers of Metroid Prime, whatnot, in the Prime 4 game, and maybe he's talking behind the scenes and getting these characters from like Fire Emblem 16 and Pokemon Generation 8 and Metroid Prime 4 and whatnot. But if he's in that game, he might be considered for an advertisement character, and he might have a chance to get in. But if he's not, no, I don't see him getting it at all. But I gave him a 65% chance because it seems like there's potential in him and they're going to use him more. And there's like some sort of important character story behind him, and he seems like a cool villain with somewhat of an interesting moveset. But if they don't utilize him at all, his chances are shot, basically. And I think it's all riding on if he's in Metroid Prime 4 or not, and that's what hurts him for, because there's no guarantee, there's no concrete evidence he's going to be in that game. So that's why I dropped like 40% almost, because he doesn't have hard ground, hard rumored fact to stand on. He is standing on smoke right now for a potential chance, and what's giving that 65% chance is it seems like they're alluding to him for something, but it's not here yet, and it's like a rumor. And that's why I'm giving it to him. Nothing to hate against the character. He seems pretty cool, but his chances I drop a little bit lower than Ridley. And Ridley's hurt by size, which kind of sucks for him when it's all what he's hurt by is relevancy and use in the series. And that's about it. So those are my thoughts on Sylux, from the Metroid Prime series, the Metroid series in general. What do you guys think? Do you want to see Sylux as a character in Smash Bros. 5 on Smash Bros. Switch? What reason do you think he makes sense to be, and what reason do you think about my reasons why he made sense? What moveset ideas would you give him? What do you think about my moveset ideas? I gave him a 65% chance. What would you guys all give him? And that's about it. And that's it for Sylux in the 16th character on this roster. Predictions, newcomer speculation. And when we get on to number 17, we are jumping into the world of Kirby with one of the most heavily utilized and requested characters underneath the Kirby trio we have now. And you all know who he is. See you all next time.